Her sister borrowed her 15-year-old daughter's brand new car, crashed it into a tree, and then called the cops on the child. Their parents lied to the police to protect the golden sister. She stayed silent and did this. 3 days later, their faces went pale when you don't expect someone to bang on your front door a little after midnight when you've spent the evening doing absolutely nothing dramatic. Rachel Turner was in sweatpants, staring at a spreadsheet that refused to balance, a plate with the crumbs of boxed brownie mix on the coffee table. Her daughter Ava had said goodnight an hour earlier. Rachel heard Ava's bedroom door click shut, heard the soft thump of whatever playlist the girl fell asleep to these days. It was a normal, boring Thursday night. A wild night. She knew. So when the doorbell rang once, then again, then came the knock, hard enough that she actually jumped. She thought neighbor, package, maybe some delivery screw-up. Not 2 uniformed officers on her porch with that "we'd rather be anywhere but here" expression. "Ma'am? Rachel?" the taller one said, checking the clipboard like he wasn't sure how to pronounce her very basic name. "Rachel Turner?" "Yeah," Rachel said, her heart already doing something unpleasant. "Is everything okay?" They didn't answer that. They never did in the movies either, she noticed. "Are you the registered owner of a silver Civic, plate number?" He rattled it off. It was her car. Ava's car. Same difference. "Yes," Rachel said slowly. "What's going on?" "Ms. Turner," the other officer said, softer. "Your vehicle was involved in a collision about 40 minutes ago. Single car crash into a tree outside your parents' residence on Oak Ridge Lane." Her brain snagged on about 4 things at once. 40 minutes ago. Tree. Outside her parents' house. Her car. "I think you've got the wrong," she started, then stopped herself, because that's exactly what the guy in every bad true crime documentary says before they cut to mugshots. "I haven't left the house all night," she said instead. "And the car should be in the driveway." "Ma'am," the taller one said carefully, "we need to speak with your daughter." Witnesses at the scene identified her as the driver who left and came home. "We're not making assumptions, we just need her account." There are moments when your body reacts before your mind catches up. Rachel felt her stomach drop and her palms go cold, and at the exact same time some stupid part of her thought, 15. If she drove into a tree, she is absolutely grounded until she's 30. Then the rest landed. "Ava," she repeated. "No, she's been here. She's asleep." The officers traded a look. It wasn't the "oh good, this was a mistake" look. It was the "this is going to be paperwork" look. "We're not here to accuse her," the second one added. "But people at the scene reported otherwise, so we have to follow up." People at the scene. Not your parents. Not your sister. Just people. Rachel's stomach twisted harder. "Okay," she said, because her brain had apparently lost access to any other word. "Okay. Can you give me a second?" She left the door open, both officers visible in the frame like a bad painting, and walked down the hall to Ava's room. The hallway nightlight threw that soft orange glow over the door. Rachel knocked once and opened it. "AV," she whispered. Ava was in bed, hair wild, face creased from the pillow. Her eyes blinked open, unfocused. "What?" she mumbled. "Is it morning?" She was wearing the same oversized camp t-shirt she'd put on after her shower. There was mascara residue under one eye from where she'd been too lazy to fully scrub it off. She smelled like the lavender lotion she used every night. This was not a kid who had just committed a felony and sprinted home. "There are police at the door," Rachel said quietly. That woke Ava up. "Why?" she asked, sitting up, voice already tight. "They're saying there was an accident with the car," Rachel said. "They're saying you were driving." Ava's mouth fell open. I haven't, Mom, I've been here." "I didn't." "I know," Rachel said. "I know." She stepped aside so her daughter could see the uniforms in the hallway through the open bedroom door. Ava's face went pale in a single second. "Ms. Turner," one of them called. "Can we speak with your daughter, please?" Rachel squeezed Ava's hand once and nodded toward the living room. They walked back together. Ava tucked herself slightly behind her mother's arm, 15 years old and suddenly looking about 9. "Ava Turner," the shorter officer said. She nodded. "Can you tell us where you've been tonight?" he asked. "In your own words." "She's a minor," Rachel said automatically, even though part of her wanted to scream. "Are you serious right now?" "You can ask, but she's not answering anything without a lawyer present." "Ma'am," the taller one said gently, "we understand. We just need to confirm details about what witnesses reported. That's all." His tone said everything he wasn't allowed to. Whatever story they'd already been fed, It wasn't coming from Rachel and Ava. "Where's the car?" Rachel cut in. "Excuse me. You said the car was involved in a crash," she said. "Where is it now?" "In the impound lot," he said. "It wasn't drivable. The front end was significantly damaged." "Totaled." "Of course. And the people at the scene?" she asked. "Who exactly said she was driving?" The officer hesitated just long enough to confirm her worst thought. "We can't disclose that. But we did receive multiple statements." "Multiple. Not one. Not someone confused. Plural. And they wouldn't tell her who. That was almost worse than naming them." "Ava," Rachel said, keeping her voice steady. "Did you drive tonight?" Her daughter shook her head, so hard her hair whipped. "No," Ava said, voice barely more than air. "Mom, I swear. I haven't. You have the keys. I've been here. Please tell them." "She has a permit," Rachel said to the officers. "She's only driven with me in daylight twice. You can check any camera in this neighborhood. She did not take that car tonight." "There's no one alleging she had permission," the shorter one said. "The concern is that she left the scene." He stopped because Rachel's look could have cut glass. "I understand your concern," she said slowly, tasting every word. "Here's mine. Someone out there is feeding you a story that doesn't match reality. And until we talk to counsel, she's not saying another word." The taller officer shifted, but didn't push. "We'll note your refusal," he said. "You'll hear from Detective Ramirez or the DA's office in the next couple of days. Please make yourself available." "Trust me," Rachel said. "I'm not going anywhere." They gave Ava one last look. She stared at the carpet like it was the only thing keeping her from dissolving, then stepped out. Rachel closed the door behind them and threw the deadbolt. For a second, she just stood there, forehead against the wood, listening to the sound of her own breathing. The house was too quiet, the kind of quiet that hums. "Mom," Ava said, voice small. Rachel turned. Her daughter's eyes were wide and shiny, but she wasn't crying yet. Her shoulders were up around her ears like she was bracing for impact. "Am I?" Ava swallowed. "Am I in trouble? Are they going to, arrest me?" It hit Rachel then how young 15 really is. Old enough to be accused of a crime. Young enough to still ask your mother if the monsters at the door are real. "Look at me," Rachel said, crossing the room. Ava did. "You did nothing wrong," Rachel said. "Nothing. You were here. You followed the rules. You are not in trouble with me. But they think." "I don't care what they think," Rachel said, more sharply than she meant to. She softened it. "We're going to fix this." "Okay, I believe you. I know you didn't touch that car tonight." Ava's chin wobbled. "I didn't," she whispered. "I promise." "I know," Rachel repeated. "I believe you more than I have ever believed anything in my life." Ava let out a breath that sounded like it had been locked in her chest for an hour. A single tear escaped and slid down her cheek. She wiped it away fast, almost angry at herself for letting it show. I'm not a bad driver," she said, like that was the worst accusation in the world. "You're a careful driver," Rachel said. "That's why I bought you the car." That set off another ripple of emotion in Ava's face, like she was trying desperately not to fall apart. "Do you think Grandma and Grandpa really said that?" Ava asked. "That they saw me?" Rachel's heart twisted. She didn't know. Not for sure. And the idea of calling her parents to ask made her feel like she'd be handing them her throat. "I don't know what they said," Rachel admitted. "But whoever talked to the police didn't tell the truth. And we'll find out who." Ava nodded, but her eyes stayed damp. "I want you to try and sleep," Rachel said. "Tomorrow we're going to talk to someone whose job it is to fix things like this." "Like a lawyer?" Ava asked. "Exactly like a lawyer," Rachel said. "I'll make calls first thing. And whatever story they think they can pin on you." She brushed Ava's hair back behind her ear. "They're not ready for what's coming." Ava swallowed and nodded, finally curling back under her blankets. Rachel turned off the light. She'd thought the knock at midnight was the worst of it. It wasn't. Not even close. When your sister is 10 years younger than you, people always assume you'll feel protective of her. They don't picture 16-year-old you babysitting a cranky 6-year-old while your parents go out, because you're such a big help. They don't picture 20-year-old you, home from college for the weekend, walking a hungover 10-year-old to the bathroom because your parents think it's funny when she tries a little wine at family dinner. They certainly don't picture 38-year-old you, standing in your kitchen at 1 in the morning, realizing that same golden child just tried to feed your kid to the wolves. Growing up, Kelsey was the baby. That was her entire job description. She's still learning. Mom would say when she broke things that weren't hers. She's just expressive. Dad would say when she screamed at waiters. Rachel was the responsible one. That was her job. You know, Kelsey is sensitive, Mom would tell Rachel. You're older. You should understand. Funny thing about that phrase. You hear it enough, and eventually you do understand, just not in the way they meant. When Kelsey got caught shoplifting lip gloss at 16, Rachel's parents drove to the store, begged the manager not to press charges, and then spent the entire ride home lecturing Rachel about how important it was that she not make Kelsey feel bad about this. When Kelsey backed Dad's old sedan into a mailbox at 19, they joked about it for years. Remember when our girl tried to take out federal property? They'd say at Thanksgiving. Everyone would laugh. When Rachel got into a minor fender bender in college because a guy cut her off in the rain, her mother didn't speak to her for 3 days. I just expected better from you, Rachel, she finally said. You're usually so careful. Translation: your mistakes are character flaws. Hers are anecdotes. By the time Rachel was in her 30s, divorced, working full-time, raising Ava, the script hadn't changed. She was the one they called when they couldn't figure out their online banking, when their internet went out, when they needed rides to doctor's appointments. Kelsey was the one they called our free spirit, as she moved in and out and back into their house, changed jobs every 6 months, and somehow always had money for new shoes. Kelsey just hasn't found herself yet, Dad would say, pouring more gravy. You were always so focused. Focused is such a polite word for on your own. Rachel learned to stop expecting fairness a long time ago. She learned to stop trying to convince them that maybe, just once, they could hold Kelsey to the same standard they held her. It was like arguing with a church about their favorite saint. Then Rachel had Ava, and for a little while, the whole golden child ecosystem didn't matter. Ava came into the world already apologizing. At least that's how it felt. She was the baby who cried whenever anyone else cried. The toddler who would put her toys away without being asked. The 7-year-old who would double-check that she'd done all her homework, then ask if there was anything else she could help with. Are you sure she's mine? Rachel would joke. I don't remember ordering a child with this much conscience. Ava would roll her eyes, but you could tell she secretly liked it. When her dad and Rachel split, Ava handled it like someone twice her age, quietly compartmentalizing, talking it out with the school counselor when she needed to. She never slammed a door, never screamed, never pulled a Kelsey. Her rebellion was forgetting to put her dishes in the sink. At 14, when most kids are begging to bend rules, Ava was the one reminding her mother of the speed limit. Mom, it says 30, she'd say from the passenger seat. Ava, we're going 28. Just saying. 30. The car was the one thing Rachel had let herself feel proud of. Years of scraping together small savings so that when Ava turned 15, she could hand her something solid, safe, and new. Not flashy, just freedom with airbags. On Ava's birthday, Rachel's parents and Kelsey came to their house for cake and the big reveal. Rachel walked her daughter to the door, told her to close her eyes, and when Ava opened them to see the silver Civic in the driveway, she made a sound Rachel knew she'd remember until she was old. Mom, no way, Ava whispered, already tearing up. Rachel's parents clapped. Kelsey didn't. She was too busy staring at the car like it was something she'd ordered, but someone else got first. Must be nice, Kelsey said lightly. New car at 15. I didn't get my first until, 21. Ava, oblivious, hugged her mother so hard she nearly knocked the bow off the hood. Inside, Kelsey hovered near the door, gaze flicking straight to the hook where the keys hung. Later, she asked, think I could take it for a quick spin sometime? Absolutely not, Rachel had said, laughing it off. Nice try. A few days later, Kelsey dropped by again. And now, tonight, when Rachel looked at that hook, one key was gone, and she had the terrible sense that whatever happened next wasn't an accident. The next morning, Rachel's inbox had a reply from the attorney. Daniel Price, 8:02 a.m. got your message. I can do a video consult at noon if that works. Someone somewhere was officially on their side. Wild concept. Hey, Ava said from the doorway. She looked like she hadn't really slept. Same hoodie, same bun, dark circles that did not belong on a 15-year-old. They're not coming back, are they? She asked. Like right now. Not without calling first, Rachel said. And next time, they talk to a lawyer, not you. Ava nodded, picking at her sleeve. Am I supposed to go to school? She asked, because of course she did. Today your job is to not collapse, Rachel said. We'll email your teachers later. At noon, Rachel clicked the video link. Daniel looked exactly like expensive wood if it wore a tie. She gave him the short version. Ava's permit, the birthday car, her parents' house, the midnight knock, the story the officers said they'd already heard from her family. He listened, took notes, and finally said, "Okay. Good news is, there are no charges yet. Bad news is, if this stays just your word versus 3 relatives, the report will not be on your side." "So what do we do?" Rachel asked. "Step 1, Ava doesn't talk to police without me present," he said. "You already aced that. Step 2, we gather proof. Anything showing Ava was home at that time, and anything showing your sister had the car." "Neighbor's doorbell camera," Rachel said. "He practically runs a surveillance operation on Amazon packages." "Perfect," Daniel said. "Ask nicely for footage from last night. And get me screenshots of Ava's activity from that window. Messages, calls, whatever. I'll pull the incident report, see exactly what your family told them." "Can you fix this?" she asked. "I can make it very hard to pretend your daughter was driving," he said. "That's a start." After they hung up, Rachel found Ava on the couch, staring at a baking show without seeing it. "Well," Ava asked. "We need proof you were doing what every teen does at midnight," Rachel said. "Texting and doom scrolling." "I was," Ava said, offended. "I was in my room the whole time." "Good," Rachel said. "Let's weaponize that." They went through Ava's phone together. At the time the officers said the crash happened, her messages with her friend were stacked like a blue wall. Memes, commentary on some stupid plot twist, timestamps marching neatly across the screen. They took screenshots of everything. Then Rachel went to the neighbor across the street and asked if his doorbell might have caught her car leaving. It had. On the playback, her front porch glowed in that weird camera gray. The car sat in the driveway. Kelsey walked into frame alone, head down, keys in hand. She got into the driver's seat, started the engine, and drove away. No second figure. No 15-year-old. Rachel's stomach twisted, but her brain filed it under Exhibit A. The neighbor emailed her the clip. She forwarded it and the phone screenshots to Daniel with a simple subject line. "Here you go." An hour later he called. "Got the video," he said. "It's great. Got the report too. Do you want the infuriating part?" "I've been training for it," Rachel said. He exhaled through his nose, the kind of breath lawyers take when they're about to deliver something corrosive. "All right," Daniel said. "The report says your sister claims she was at your parents' house the entire time. According to her statement, she looked out the window and saw Ava driving alone right before the crash." Rachel's stomach dropped, but he wasn't done. "And your parents," he continued, voice tightening just a fraction, "backed that up. Both of them. They told the officers they saw a young girl, who was definitely Ava, behind the wheel." Rachel closed her eyes. For a second, all she saw was her mother's face at Ava's birthday last week, smiling like she'd invented grandparenting. "And that's written," Daniel added, "in signed statements." Rachel let out a slow breath. "So they picked a story and committed." "Great. There's more," he said. They included little details. Stuff like, Ava has been getting more confident lately, and that you've been letting her push boundaries. None of it criminal, but enough to paint a picture. "Of me being a negligent parent," Rachel said. "Exactly." He gave her a moment. It wasn't enough, but it was what they had. "Now the good part," Daniel said. "The neighbor's footage completely contradicts them. It shows Kelsey taking your car from your house alone. And Ava's phone activity lines up perfectly with her being home. It's clean." Rachel gripped the counter with one hand. "So what happens next?" "I'm sending everything to Detective Ramirez today," he said. "I'll flag it for DA Harper as well. Once they see this, the narrative shifts." "Hard. And the follow-up meeting?" Rachel asked. "Still scheduled. 3 days from now. Everyone will be in the same room, your parents, Kelsey, you, Ava. Of course. A family reunion hosted by the criminal justice system. Exactly what Rachel wanted in her week. "Rachel," he said, softer now, "I know this hurts. But the evidence is strong. Let it speak." "Yeah," she said. "Because my family sure won't." After they hung up, Rachel's phone buzzed again. "Mom." She let it go to voicemail. Then came the text. "We heard you got a lawyer. This is getting out of hand. Call us." Funny how getting out of hand only applied once Rachel pushed back. She typed, "You gave sworn statements about my child. This is out of hand. Talk to your attorney." She sent it before she could decide whether or not to be the bigger person. She'd retired from that job anyway. Rachel found Ava in the hallway, hovering like she could sense her mother's mood without hearing a word of the call. "Well?" Ava asked. "They backed Kelsey," Rachel said. She kept her voice even, because screaming wouldn't fix anything. "All three of them. Said they saw you driving." Something flickered across Ava's face, hurt first, then something sharper. "Oh," she whispered. Not tears. Just a small, stunned "oh." It landed harder than any crying could have. "But we have the footage," Rachel said. "We have your phone. We have the truth." Ava nodded, jaw working like she was trying not to clench it too visibly. "Mom," she said quietly, "why would they say they saw me?" Because protecting Kelsey was easier than protecting the truth. But Rachel didn't say that. "Because they were wrong," she said instead. "That's all that matters now." Ava swallowed. "Are you sure we're going to win?" "We don't need to win," Rachel said. "We just need to show what actually happened. And we can." Ava took a deep breath, steadying herself the way she did before school presentations. "Okay," she said. "Okay." Rachel rested a hand briefly on her daughter's shoulder. Ava didn't pull away. For the first time since that knock at midnight, Ava didn't look terrified. She looked resolved. Small but steel. And honestly, Rachel felt the same. Her parents could write whatever stories they wanted. Kelsey could pretend the truth lived behind their curtains. But they'd forgotten one tiny, inconvenient thing. Cameras don't lie. And neither did Rachel's kid. Not this time. 3 days later, Rachel and Ava sat in a cramped conference room at the station. Detective Ramirez sat at the head of the table, Mr. Harper beside him. Daniel flanked their side like a silent, expensive sword. Across from them, Rachel's parents and Kelsey. If guilt had a smell, the room would have needed ventilation. "We've reviewed new evidence," Ramirez began, tone professional. "We want the record to reflect the accurate sequence of events." He opened a folder, turned a page, slid it forward so everyone could see. Rachel didn't have to lean in. She'd seen the footage enough times. A still frame, Kelsey in front of Rachel's house. Another, Kelsey walking to the car. Another, Kelsey behind the wheel. Alone. No Ava. Just Kelsey and her terrible judgment. In addition, Ramirez said, Ava's phone data shows uninterrupted activity from her home during the time of the crash. Texts streaming, everything consistent with her being at home. The silence that followed was so thick Rachel could hear Ava swallow. Mr. Harper looked at Rachel's parents. "You stated you saw Ava behind the wheel. Would you like to amend that?" Rachel's mother blinked rapidly. "It was dark," she said, voice thin. "We assumed." Her father nodded like a dashboard bobblehead. "We thought we were helping." Helping who exactly? Hung in the air like smoke. Harper turned to Kelsey. "Your statement claims you watched Ava drive, panic, and flee. Do you stand by that?" Kelsey's mascara smudged as she stared at the table. "I know, I wasn't thinking. I got scared. I said she did it." For a moment the room didn't move. Ava's hand tightened around Rachel's just once. Harper closed the folder. "Given this evidence, we are clearing Ava of all allegations. She will not be charged with any offense related to this incident." Rachel felt her daughter exhale. It was the sound of a weight leaving a body that had grown too small for it. "As for you," Harper continued, now addressing Kelsey and Rachel's parents, "this office is reviewing possible charges related to filing false statements. This level of fabrication involving a minor is serious." Rachel's mother made a small sound, hurt, outrage, maybe both, but no one rushed to comfort her. "Ms. Turner," Harper asked, turning to Rachel, "would you like to say anything?" Rachel didn't stand dramatically. She didn't raise her voice. She just spoke. "For years," she said, "I've been told to understand. To be the bigger person whenever Kelsey messed up. To swallow things so she wouldn't feel bad." She looked directly at them. "But you didn't just ask me to swallow this. You asked my daughter to. You were willing to bury a 15-year-old to protect a grown woman who stole a car and crashed it into your tree." Kelsey cried. Mom reached for her hand. Dad stared at the folder like it held a different ending. "You didn't hesitate," Rachel said quietly. "You signed your names. You didn't call me. You didn't check. You just chose the story that made your lives easier." She turned back to Ramirez and Harper. "Thank you for clearing Ava." Harper nodded. "We'll be in touch." That was it. No dramatic gavel, no shouting match. Just fluorescent lights, a few sheets of paper, and the sound of a family structure finally collapsing under its own weight. Outside, Ava walked beside Rachel, shoulders a little looser. "You okay?" Rachel asked. Ava nodded. "Yeah, just tired." "Me too," Rachel said. Let's go home. And they did. 6 months later, Oak Ridge Lane looked exactly the same, except for Rachel's parents' house. That one had a sold sign out front. Turns out filing false statements about a minor leaves a mark. Kelsey ended up with a misdemeanor on her record. Rachel's parents got their own matching versions for knowingly providing inaccurate information. Not prison, but enough to make legal documents an adventure. Rachel heard all of this from a cousin who still talked to them. They didn't. Insurance denied everything. Unauthorized driver, conflicting statements, zero coverage. Daniel filed a civil claim. They settled fast. Full value of the car, plus Rachel's fees. Then Kelsey's fines hit. Then the attorney bills. The loans snowballed until the house had to go. Meanwhile, Ava was thriving. New used Corolla, good grades, therapy sessions that actually helped. Rachel and Ava's home was quieter now, cleaner, safer. No toxic relatives, no second chances for people who'd shown them exactly who they were. Some say she went too far. Others say not far enough. What do you think? Let us know in the comments, and subscribe for more.